What's up, guys? Don Mavrick here, and today we are working biceps, triceps, and forearms. Biceps, triceps, and forearms at Gold's Venice. And I'm starting out with uh, cable extensions. So this is for triceps. We're doing cable extensions, starting at 30 reps and going down to right about, I believe it was right about either 16 or 20. And these you're pushing the weight down, you're flexing at the tricep, flexing at the tricep. These are working more so the inner head. I would like to say the outer, but it's in my situation it's kind of working the inner head, and a bit of the outer. The tricep is broken down into multiple sections, so the inner head, the outer head, and then the sides of the muscle. So it's important with each workout to implement exercises that work everything, not just one part of the tricep. Moving on, we're going to bicep extensions, or bicep curls rather, with the cables. And these ones we're leaning forward, leaning all the way forward, extending the bicep, and squeezing at the top. Stretching, squeezing, stretching, squeezing at the top, stretching, squeezing, stretching, squeezing. Very important to stretch and squeeze. Stretch out that bicep so that the muscle fibers have a chance to extend, stretch, and get blood and oxygen into them. And then we're squeezing at the top, pumping that blood into the bicep. Squeezing at the top, pumping blood into the bicep. There we go. And with these, we started at right about, I believe it was 30 actually as well too. So 30 reps, and I pyramided all the way down to right about, I think it was either 12 or 16. You don't quote me on it, but 12 or 16. The point being, you're increasing the weight with every set, and so it should get progressively heavier, and you'll subsequently be doing less reps. So that's important too, is that you want to pick a weight that is heavy, that you're working the muscle, but it's not too heavy to where you're not able to get a sufficient amount of reps. And also too, you don't want to pick up weight that's too light to where you're getting too many reps in and you're not adequately stimulating the fibers the right way, So we're moving on now to same machine, but this is for triceps. We're working the outer head of the tricep, doing another form of extensions. We're leaning forward and stretching the tricep, not forcing our way through the weight, not rushing, making sure that we're extending the tricep and stretching, squeezing blood into that tricep, pumping blood into the triceps, stretching forward, stretching, going through the full range of motion, stretching. It's very important, very, very important to pick a weight that you can do and do it with the proper form. These are very nuanced in that it's very easy to start using other muscles like your bicep, or to start pulling in, doing whatever it takes to pull it forward. And these are specifically for the triceps. They're not for the forearms, even though you could see my forearm extended a bit on it because of the amount of weight I'm using. They are a tricep workout, so you want to make sure that you're picking a weight that obviously is light enough, heavy enough to stimulate the muscle, but light enough to get that full range of motion and extend into the tricep. Same thing on the left side, extending the tricep. Essentially, the tricep should be doing the work for you. Pulling that weight down, extending the tricep. That's why they're called tricep extensions. Extending that tricep, pumping the blood into the tricep. And you can see that separation from my bicep and my tricep because of these exercises, extending and pumping blood into that tricep. So moving on, we're doing another cable curl with for biceps. Another cable curl, And these are, I like to do these um, at least once with every bicep workout. So again, I went a little bit heavier on these, I'm not going to lie. So picking a weight that is heavy to stimulate the muscle, but not too heavy to where we're not able to get at least 12 reps. I'm stretching and I'm pumping blood into that bicep. 4, squeezing at the top, stretching as far as I can, squeezing at the top. Squeezing at the top. And it's very important to use good form when you are working biceps, whether you're using barbells, whether you're using cable curls, whatever you're doing. You don't want to use your back as much as you can. If you notice I'm slightly leaning forward a little bit on the what do you call it, on the way down, and then I'm squeezing at the top, coming back up, keeping it out of my back as much as possible and in my biceps. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing at the top, pumping blood into those biceps. And we got one more shot here from the side, squeezing those biceps. Moving to the next exercise, we're doing another form of cable extended tricep extensions. So this time we're using the rope, and these are working the far outer aspect of the tricep. And that's what gives it that full round look from the outside, is these. And you could actually see it. If you look carefully, you could see which part of the tricep is being worked. These you're doing, again, not super heavy, but not super light either. So I picked a weight that I could do approximately 20 reps. 20 reps on these. And I believe I may have kept the weight the same, but I believe I actually increased it. So 20 down to roughly 10, I believe it was. 20 reps down to 10 reps. These you're being very, very specific about how you do them. You're extending the tricep. And we supersetted those with cable bicep curls. Another form of cable bicep curls. These ones are, and I hate to kind of use this analogy, but this is more of the longer head of the bicep, so to speak, to kind of give the bicep more of a peak. These are stretching out the biceps, pumping blood into that bicep to get that peak when you're flexing the bicep, stretching out the bicep the long way, and pumping blood into that muscle, giving the bicep good resistance. And these I started, I believe, right about right here pictured, I just did a warm-up set, but these are for 20 reps, 20 reps each, 20 reps each side. And you can see here, my movement is very slow and deliberate. I'm squeezing up, holding, letting it loose, squeezing up, holding, pumping blood into that bicep, squeezing, holding, squeezing. And you notice on the eccentric, in other words, when I'm letting the cable down, when I'm letting my arm down, I'm not rushing the movement. I'm being very deliberate, slow and deliberate about that, because that's what builds the muscle. The muscle, yes, the pump is important. Pumping, pulling up that weight is important, but it's also important how you release the weight. That's what tells the fibers how to grow the right way, essentially. So you want to make sure, squeezing at the top, and then I'm letting it down carefully, so that you're giving the muscle, whatever muscle you're working, not just the bicep, the full extent, the best advantage to grow, the full extent of that hypertrophy. And we're switching over to the other side. And again, squeezing at the top. When I'm letting the bicep down, I'm stretching out as far as I can, stretching that muscle. That also keeps your bicep from tightening up after you're done working out. You want to keep your muscles as loose as possible by stretching. And if a stretch can be incorporated into the workout, even better. And so now we're moving on to hammer curls. And I supersetted these as well too with overhead barbell tricep extensions well, obviously for the triceps. But these are barbell curls. I did 4 sets of 20 on these. So I stuck to the same weight, 4 sets of 20. 1, 2, squeezing at the top again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then 21. That's 21. So with these, very important, you're sticking to a weight that you can do for 20 reps. If you feel the weight is too heavy, you may want to lighten the weight and stick to a weight you could do. Tricep overhead barbell extensions. So you're picking up a weight again that you can control. The bench, you want to have the bench. You could see how it's positioned. You don't want it too far back to where now you're kind of working your chest and a little bit of the lats. You want it far enough back to where you can extend it over your head and then bring it right back up in perfect form. So I'm squeezing at the top, extending backward, squeezing at the top. This is for triceps. Extending backward, squeezing at the top. Extending backward, squeezing at the top. And this was for 4 sets of 10 on this one. Squeezing at the top, working the outer head of the tricep, the far outer head of the tricep. Squeezing at the top. Again, picking a weight that you can control, that you don't have to stop halfway through, and also a weight that is light enough, heavy enough, light enough, but then heavy enough to actually stimulate that muscle. So last but not least, we're doing dumbbell tricep extensions. Picking a flat bench, laying down on the bench, and squeezing, extending the triceps using a weight that's light enough that we could extend using our triceps, keeping it in the elbows and the triceps, not using any other muscle but the elbows and the triceps to extend that weight forward. Extending, squeezing at the top. Extending back, squeezing at the top. Extending back as far as we can go, squeezing at the top. Pumping blood into that muscle. And I did approximately 4 sets of 10 on these. Squeezing at the top. Some people do a variation with one heavy dumbbell and the seat, similar to the last tricep workout, the seat slightly inclined, and those are considered skull crushers. And these were supersetted with forearm curls, barbell forearm curls. And you can see I get a regular barbell, the same barbell you would use for a squat, for a bench press, for a deadlift. I use that bar without any weight on it. It's a 45-pound bar. I'm extending my wrist over my knees and I'm using my forearms, not my biceps, but my forearms to pump that weight, to pump blood into the muscle. Extending, using my wrist, I should say, to explain a little bit easier, using my wrist to twist the weight and not my biceps. My wrists are twisting the weight, doing the work for my forearms, pumping blood into those forearms. And we did, I believe it was 4 sets of 15 reps, 12 to 15 reps, pumping blood into those forearms. And that's about it, guys. I hope this video could be of help to you. We'll be back, and peace.